Welcome to Speak for Yourself. Marcellus, the distinguished gentleman here, Mr. Wiley, and Emmanuel Acho over there. Can't lie. Nice. Sorry. All right, let's move on. I lost today. Damn it. All right, Swag Wars continues, but let's get it started with the Bucs. They were blown out last night, 38-3 by the Saints. Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions in the worst loss of his career. I'll say it again, the worst loss of his career. It's also the first time the GOAT has been swept by a division rival. Tampa is now 6-3 and are looking up at New Orleans in the NFC South. Take a listen to Brady after the loss.
You know, there's no excuses for what it is. It's a poor performance by, you know, a team that's got a lot ahead of it. So hopefully we can learn from it, come back to work this week with a lot more urgency, execute a lot better, and try to go out and beat a good football team.
Well, I'm looking better than Brady in that damn video right there. All right, let's get Swag Wars aside. Acho, did the Bucs get exposed last night?
Bro, they got exposed the week before against the Giants. I told you that. They got taken advantage of last night. They got exposed on Monday night against the New York Football Giants. Then they got it taken advantage of. Remember, Marcellus, after the Buccaneers barely squeaked by the Giants, I came on this show and I told you, I said, hey, you've seen the blueprint to beat the Buccaneers. What was the blueprint? Head coach for the Giants, he said, hey, don't beat Tom Brady, beat everyone else. Beat everybody else.
I remember that.
You ain't got to beat the Hall of Fame, first ballot, greatest quarterback of all time. Just beat his teammates, beat his peers. I said, hey, Marcellus, the Giants couldn't get it done because of Daniel Jones' 2-point conversion. But be mindful, if somebody else can mimic this blueprint, plus have the players, they'll get it done. What happened against the Saints?
What happened?
Mimic the blueprint. Don't beat Tom Brady. Beat everybody else. So what does that mean? Beat Mike Evans. What'd he have? 5 catches. Against Marshawn Lattimore, 2 targets, no catches. Beat Scotty Miller. What'd he have? 1 catch. He leads the Bucs in receiving yards. What'd Gronk have? 4 catches. Antonio Brown, 3 beat everybody else. And that's exactly what happened. But furthermore, they got exposed because he got exposed as a coach who let the moment become bigger than him. Bruce Arians, there's a reason I would say that he hasn't necessarily gotten to a Super Bowl before as a head coach.
Oh, you're going there off of last night.
Head coach.
Let's go. Let's connect these dots.
Why can I go there? Why can I connect these dots? Because first game of the season, call it a fluke. You lose to the Saints. It's a fluke thing, not a big deal. You need continuity. You need to mesh. But then this was the biggest game thus far of the season. Let's make no mistake about it. Bucs have not, Tom Brady hasn't been swept, and the Saints still have a chokehold on the division, 1 of 3 years in a row. Biggest game. But Bruce Arians didn't shine the brightest. Mind you, those at home, the first 12 to 15 plays on offense are scripted. You telling me you scripted that? You scripted 3 and outs?
Tear it up.
No, you scripted 4 3 and outs to start the game. The first 15 plays should look the best, and they look the worst. Okay. Marcellus, they didn't just get exposed. They got taken advantage of.
Oh, they didn't get exposed. But by the technical definition, not your exaggeration, but by the technical definition of exposed, it just means you're vulnerable. And guess what? Every single team in the NFL this year is vulnerable. Outside the Pittsburgh Steelers, we'll get to them later because they looked even vulnerable yesterday. So I'm going to say it with a little less sauce. They didn't get exposed. Let's just go there to have some binary conversation here. This is why they didn't get exposed. One, if you look at them, this is a team that's still learning itself on the fly. And I understand you want to make last night the biggest game of the season for them. But I remember them just a couple weeks ago having the biggest game of the season. I thought it was the Green Bay Packers.
Sure.
And how did that turn out? Did they spank the Green Bay Packers? Yes, they did. Did they get spanked last night? Yes, they did. And that's to my point. Like, every team is vulnerable right now, especially when you look at the NFC. Were the Saints vulnerable when they only won 4 games by a combined 15 points? When they only could beat the Bears by 3, and the Panthers by 3, and the Chargers by 3, and the Lions by 6? Were they vulnerable then? No, Acho didn't have that conversation. He waits till they finally get a big win and says that they now have exposed another team. But at the same time, the team that got exposed, according to you, was also the team that we thought was the favorite to come out the NFC before this game. My point is this. It's going to continue to evolve. It's going to continue to shift. It's going to continue to look different week to week based on the big game matchups. Don't forget who's leading this bunch. Tom Brady, who doesn't believe in entitlement. You know why? Because a good play, bad play, Tom Brady washes it to the side. After week 1, everyone was looking at Tom Brady. Yuck. Even your coach said, yuck. Bruce Arians calling Tom Brady out. What did he do after that? Oh, just went out there and won 5 games, only lost 1 game. Went out there, became the front runner, the MVP in my eyes, and became a leader of a team that we thought was a front runner to go to the Super Bowl. 1 game is all it is. 1 game in the win-loss column. I don't care how many points. We could get into that conversation. Oh, how did it feel? Oh, did they beat y'all down? But in terms of win-loss column, it's only 1, Acho.
Big bro, here's my thing.
What? What's your thing?
You talked about vulnerabilities. Everybody in the NFL has a vulnerability.
Yes.
Everybody in the NFL can get exposed. But here's a question. What are you getting exposed of?
Okay.
And how detrimental can that be going forward?
Let's go.
Seattle Seahawks, their defense, it got exposed. Not only yesterday, the entirety of the season. The Green Bay Packers, their defense, it has been exposed. The Buffalo Bills, at times, their quarterback play, it can be exposed.
Yes.
But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what has been exposed to me and what is extremely detrimental, the offensive continuity. Feast or famine. I've said this before, Sel. I said, hey, it might be too many players, too many mouths to feed, and not enough chefs.
Okay.
And you're like, wait, whenever you say it's too much talent on a team, that just lets me know you're scared. No. That lets me know there's a problem.
Okay.
If there can be, like I said this before, if there can be addition by subtraction, there can be subtraction by addition.
Okay.
Why, Marcellus, did Mike Evans only have 4 catches? Chris Godwin only have 3 catches. Antonio Brown only have 3 catches. Scotty Miller only have 1 catch. Why was the leading receiver for the Buccaneers a running back? Marcellus, all these mouths to feed, but you only got 1 cook. What did they get exposed of? They got exposed of a lack of offensive continuity. You don't even know who the guy is. If I were to ask you, hey, who's a big threat for Tampa Bay?
Tom Brady.
He can't throw the ball to himself. So,
you sound like Giselle.
the problem is that, I guess she's a smart woman, made a lot of money in her life.
And beautiful.
Watch out, it's another man's wife now. The problem is, bro, they got exposed to me for a lack of continuity, and that to me is a bigger detriment than some of the other exposures that we have seen. That's why this team is something to worry about. It's definitely something to worry about.
Come on, big dog. You should know more than anybody the difference between being exposed and just getting beat down. We played the game before. Like when somebody writes an article, y'all got exposed, and you be like, what the hell is this fool writing this article? All we did was get beat down. Got beat down like Emmanuel Acho did. Remember when you were in college at UT and y'all played UCLA? Oh, where that happened was, UCLA, y'all was 7th ranked. I remember watching that game. UCLA came out there and said, they spanked y'all 34-12. What about Kansas State? Oh, was that a beat down?
And we got exposed.
You exposed. Y'all got beat down several times, but still had a winning record. Y'all were all right. Leave that alone. I'm not even going to go into your personal life. Let's go into Tom Brady's and the Buccaneers in terms of how they respond to such adversity, whether they're exposed or they just got beat down. In the 2 games they lost, before, what do we see? A response where they scored 69 points and their opponents only 27 in those rebound games. They beat the next team down as well. You want to talk about exposed because I think it's a grander statement you're trying to suggest. Most people are trying to suggest, oh, if you get beat down like that, y'all not going to be anything in the playoffs, let alone the Super Bowl champion. Oh, I wonder if Tom Brady's ever got beat down to that tune. Oh, in 2003, he did. 31-0. Buffalo Bills spanked them. You know what happened the rest of that year? 12-game winning streak, and they finished the #1 seed. Oh, let's go back in time a little more. We were just talking about Steve Young last week. What about him? Did he ever get beat down like this and win a Super Bowl? Oh, yeah. They lost by 32 points to the Eagles, week 5. Rolled off 10 straight wins and another #1 seed. I can go even farther back, but you're too young for all that, and your birthday's tomorrow, so I'm going to stop saying you're so young. When you hit the big 3-0, we'll talk about that later. My point is this. If you really look at any team that wins a Super Bowl, there's going to be a wart or 2, a forgettable game or 2. That is just going to be a blemish on the way to your goals. That's all this is for them, a blemish.
Marcellus, you're downplaying something that needs to be more so overstated. It needs to be taken seriously. You went back to 2003.
I'm going back to Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, Marcellus, hasn't had a 3-pick game since 2011.
Okay.
Like, there is a problem. We've seen this before. This is the worst beatdown of Tom Brady's career. Yeah. I'm not going to downplay that.
Come on, defense.
I'm not going to downplay.
Come on, defense.
No, because here's what I'm going to... Come on, Tom Brady and these turnovers, too, now. Come on, Bruce Arians and his game plan. Come on, starting the game with 4 straight 3-and-outs. Keep in mind, the Bucs were never even just... Like, people say, oh, they were out the game early. That's why they got pass happy. No, they weren't. Must I remind y'all, the Cowboys went down 14-3 against the Giants. 14-play drive, 10 rush attempts, got right back in that game and ended up winning that game. The Bucs go down 7-0 after 3 series. You still got time. How do you only run the ball 3 times in your first 12 plays, 3 times in your first 4 drives? It doesn't make sense. They got exposed as being impatient, got exposed as being too pass happy, got exposed as having too many mouths to feed. Marcellus, only the Bucs and the Lions had 5 different receivers with 5 or more targets. Only the Bucs and the Lions. 5 receivers, 5 more. It's terrible. What's Colin say? Let me take another note from Colin. I'll be borrowing from Colin.
You be stealing. What you be borrowing?
I give him back, too. No. I give him his takes back. After I borrow these takes on speak, I say, hey, Colin, you can have your take back.
Stop plagiarism.
Here's what he says.
Go ahead.
If you got a quarterback competition, all that means is you got no quarterback at all.
I give you that.
If you have 5 receivers with 5+ targets, all that means to me, you have no go-to receiver at all. Mike Evans supposed to be a Hall of Famer. Antonio Brown, Hall of
Injuries.
Famer. Rob Gronkowski, Hall of Famer. But all these guys got all these targets and nothing to show for it. If you got all these receivers, I don't know if you have a go-to at all.
I don't know. At the Pro Bowl, you ever been to Pro Bowl? Oh, no, never mind. Let me get out this conversation. All right, at the Pro Bowl, you know, they got 3 great starters, and they all battle to be who's the starter, even though the vote's supposed to say that. You go in practice, everybody like, I'm starting. They got more than one quarterback, right? Sometimes you can have 2 talented quarterbacks, and you have
talking about the same Pro Bowl that nobody watch right now? You talking about that? Is that the Pro Bowl he talking about? Is it?
That was my attempt to shine when I'm losing the argument, but I'm going to go back to this. Here's the thing. What happened when you say exposed, I think it's just because we saw them in full exposure. Primetime games. They, right now, in primetime games, not looking the same as they do in non-primetime games. So what comes from it is kind of what happens with the Cowboys. Since all eyes are on you, people exaggerate because people don't want to stay in the middle of the conversation and have nuance. But this team, 5-1, but 4 of those wins coming by 14+ points when they're not on primetime, when no one's paying attention, when everyone's just like, oh, another win for them. But how are they winning? You're saying how they're losing. I'm trying to tell you how they're winning. This is a team that is going to go back and forth with the Saints. We saw 2 losses, but you get to see them again. The ability to self-correct. Think about this. The Saints, let's throw the Packers in there. Even the Seahawks, whoever you want to throw in there, in terms of where they are regarding peak potential, a lot closer to their ceiling than the Tampa Bay Bucs are. You keep bringing up stats that actually support my argument in terms of them learning to grow. Growing pains means you will grow, but it's going to hurt. Last night hurt, but it's another one of their growing pains as they get used to each other. You ever play basketball at the pickup YMCA games and you see the old school cats over there, you're looking at them, they all look like CPAs and lawyers, et cetera, and you're like, they socks too high, too many headbands, they ain't gonna do nothing. But them dudes wear cats out because the fastest thing on the court is the ball. The fastest thing on the field is the ball. If you play together, you can't just meld talent out there and expect it to get delivered. You gotta meld chemistry with talent. That's what this team learned from the New Orleans Saints last night. We're more talented than that team, but they have chemistry. They're gelling together as the Tampa Bay Bucs will later in the season.
So here are my 2 closing points, my 2 biggest things. Bucs fans, you got to be mindful of this. Number 1, you're 6-1 against everybody else. You've outscored those opponents by 93 points. But against the Saints, you're being outscored by 46 points. Number 2, Scotty Miller, unsung hero, been your leading receiver all game. Antonio Brown shows up. All of a sudden, leading receiver all season, Scotty Miller. Antonio Brown shows up, and Scotty Miller only has 1 catch. What happens with Antonio Brown? Miscommunication. Again, I don't know if y'all saw it. We can run it. I'm not just going to talk about week 1, Marcellus. I'm going to talk about the fact of you only have so many opportunities. Because what's going to happen? We're already 9 games in now. Playoffs going to sneak up on you real quick. You keep giving them grace. You can only give them grace until they lose a game when it's do or die.
Look, just hope that you play the Saints in the NFC Championship game. Give yourself as much runway and time to gel together. Saints are a closed fist. They've been together forever. So, of course, if you're really going to punch back at them, it's going to have to be when you guys have a closed fist. They don't have that right now. But as I look at the Seahawks, ask the Seahawks about the Bills and the Cardinals. Exposed. Ask the Saints about the Raiders and Packers. Exposed. Ask the Packers about the Buccaneers and Vikings. Exposed. Right now, you can say that the Buccaneers are exposed, but to me, just 1 loss. Coming up at the top of the hour, the Patriots haven't won since September. Speaking of exposed, we'll tell you if Cam's job is on the line tonight against the winless Jets. But first, Garrett Gilbert. Yes, I said Garrett Gilbert. Nearly led the Cowboys to an upset against the undefeated Steelers. We'll tell you if Dallas can win the NFC East. Next, speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. The Cowboys, they had a big mountain to climb against the undefeated Steelers yesterday. Well, Garrett Gilbert became their fourth starting quarterback this season, and he played pretty well, all things considered. Dallas led by 10 points in the fourth quarter, but the Steelers scored the final 15 points for the win. The Cowboys now have lost 4 straight and are at 2-7, tied with the Giants for last place in the division. I didn't want to say that one out too loud, Marcellus.
Oh, the Giants and the Cowboys. That Cowboys team, not this Cowboys team. They even lost to the Redskins. Y'all are not comfortable in your position as being division leader right now. Look at these Cowboys. I love what I saw yesterday in terms of fight, in terms of adjustments, and I love what I saw in terms of the defense. Seems like they're turning the corner. Now, let's remember where they started from, the house they started from to the house they try to get to. They seem like they turned the corner to the point of, since week 7, Cowboys ranked 9th. 9, that one digit, 9th in total defense. Who the heck?
Since what week?
Since yesterday. I gotta card these books up somehow.
Yeah,
hey,
I thought I heard. I'm like, did you say since week 7?
I try to stutter through 7.
Like last week. Hey, big dog.
When you build confidence, anything counts, right? For real. So I'm looking at this team like, okay, there's something to build on. Garrett Gilbert, whatever you want to say of him, I don't know if he's the future when Andy Dalton comes back, but Garrett Gilbert needs to be somebody that you consider going forward with. The Cowboys defense, as I said, looks like they turned the corner. And there's just one edit I would make to this Cowboys team to really give them the juice that they need. Tony Pollard needs to start over Ezekiel Elliott because hamstring or not, you don't have the juice. Right. Bishop, you ain't got the juice no more. If you're looking at Ezekiel Elliott. You make those fixes, you continue with this trend, I see the Cowboys potentially win this
division. Let me start off rocking with you because you said something so intelligent. I didn't know if you was going to have the courage to say it, but you a bold man. Zeke got to go to the bench.
He got to go.
Zeke got 18 carries yesterday and had 51 yards. Tony Pollard had 9 carries and had 57 yards. Tony Pollard doing more with less. Zeke is not only not helping the Cowboys, at this point, I think you can almost say he's holding them back.
No, hold on. Let me push back, though. Don't they switch the offensive line when the running backs come in, too? So it's a different offensive line that Tony's running?
And where?
No. Oh, they don't do that? Oh, it's the same line? What the hell is he getting more yards per carry then?
Look,
I digress.
Let me say this. Cowboys showed a ton of fight yesterday. I was actually encouraged. I'm sitting here watching the game on my phone, and I'm like, yo, the Cowboys about to make me look stupid. Because I came out here and confidently said they had no chance.
No chance.
Cowboys showed a lot of heart, a lot of toughness. Shout out to Garrett Gilbert, a former teammate of mine. But let me get to the real point. Marcellus, you sound like me my junior year. My junior year in Texas, we were coming off a national championship. We thought we was going to be the beast. We thought we was going to be that dude. We were actually led by Garrett Gilbert. He was starting in Texas. He was all everything. Gatorade Player of the Year. Marcellus, we take our first loss. It's all good, baby. We can still go to the national championship. Take our second loss. It's all good, baby.
No,
we run the table. We still might get to the ship. We take our third loss. Okay, fellas, okay. We can still win the Big 12. We take our fourth loss. Okay, a couple things go our way. We can still win the Big 12. We take our fifth loss. Okay, let's just make sure we get to a bowl game, guys. Let's make sure we get to We take our sixth loss. Okay, we just got to win this last one to get to a bowl game. That's how you sound, Sel.
Really?
Cowboys, yeah, they can still win the division. I mean, all they got to beat is the Eagles.
Don't do that.
Cowboys, I mean, yeah, they last in the division with the Giants, but they still look decent.
Don't do that.
Cowboys, Marcellus, you sound like a guy who's clinging to any little bit of hope.
Yes.
You sound like another dude who clings to any little bit of hope. So let me bring in NFL analyst Bucky Brooks and see what light he might try to cling to. Bucky, can the Cowboys team win the NFC East?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, book it. They're in. They're winning the East. Like that, you can guarantee that. I guarantee they go to the playoffs. Like, I'm looking at this team, and what has happened, they finally discovered who they are. The last couple of weeks, we've seen the defense get better. We're seeing them play with more energy and effort. They got rid of Dontari Poe and Darryl Worley, got the old guys out the building, put the young guys in, and now they're beginning to play defense like they should. Offensively, they've got back to that run-first game plan that serves them well. Last Sunday, 31 carries, 144 yards, controlled the clock, had 33 minutes of time of possession. Because of that, they were in the game into the fourth quarter. Now, I'm going to push back on that craziness that you guys were saying about Tony Pollard starting over Ezekiel Elliott. But outside of that, I think you're on track. The Dallas Cowboys certainly certainly.
Who's on? I didn't
Why
say-
are you pushing back? I want to hear you explain it. You just can't give us a headline and then get off the conversation. Why are you pushing back on Ezekiel Elliott switching out with Tony Pollard?
Man, Tony Pollard has never had more than 57 rushing yards in a game.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard is a guy that comes in. He comes in as a change of pace, and it's easy for him because he's not the center of attention like Ezekiel Elliott. I love what he has added as a dimension. He's a nice side dish, but he's not the filet mignon. He's not the main dish. That's Ezekiel Elliott. And as Ezekiel Elliott continues to get more carries and more opportunities, he will go back and show people who he is as a two-time NFL rushing champ. But please don't be disrespectful and say that Tony Pollard should take his job.
I'm sorry. Yeah, his play, his regression is disrespectful. I don't know how you like your fillets. I like mine well done with ketchup and A1, baby. You got to keep cooking it. You want to feed Zeke? How about Zeke start cooking and making it happen so it's not even a conversation, big dog?
I mean, I hear what you're saying.
No, you don't.
I hear what you're saying, and I understand those numbers. And I understand that Tony Pollard had a nice game yesterday.
Again.
Part of that was helped by the fact that he had a 20-yard run. But in terms of grinding, he's not built for the grind. He's not built to be an every-down workhorse.
I'm not going to sidetrack.
Just let him get one game and let's figure that out.
I'm not going to get sidetracked. Let me, Bucky, let me tell the world what has happened to you. Because I can see in your blind spots, and it is my job as a friend to tell Bucky what's in his blind spot. And in all honesty, Marcellus, it's a little bit in your blind spot.
Chill,
it's not y'all's fault.
You chill.
You all have been so taken advantage of, mentally abused by these Cowboys that your standards are low. That y'all are like, y'all saw a glimpse of a good game and y'all said, oh, yeah, book it. They gonna be in the play. Bucky, do you hear yourself talk? Let me tell you what happened yesterday. Cowboys allowed a 300-yard passer, 3 touchdowns, forced no turnovers. Same Cowboys we've seen all season long. Cowboys, they had a quarterback who played pretty good but turned the ball over in the red zone. So a quarterback that made some really good plays but also has some turnovers. Same Cowboys we've seen all season long. Cowboys, defensively, weren't great. Offensively, weren't great, but their special teams was amazing. Their special teams almost won them the game. Same Cowboys we've seen all season long. Because against the Atlanta Falcons early on in the season, Cowboys offensively made some good things happen, but turned the ball over. Special teams didn't almost win them the game. Special teams won them the game. Against other teams all season long, Seattle Seahawks, Cowboys offense looked pretty good. Defense was pretty bad. Allowed Russell Wilson to throw for several touchdowns. Didn't really force any turnovers. Same Cowboys we've seen all season long. So really, the Cowboys against the Steelers yesterday, although it was dressed up, although they put on a little bit of cologne, put on a little bit of perfume, it was actually the same Cowboys we've seen all season long. For that reason, Cowboys not making the playoffs. They not winning the NFC East. They just dressed up that odor a little bit, Marcellus.
Well, I didn't know that winning the division was such a low accomplishment on Acho's chart. Like, wow, I thought that's the first goal of every NFL football team is first win your division. Then after that, let's talk about what's going to happen in the playoffs. But I digress. Let's get to how this is not the same old Cowboys. Because when we saw that touchdown to CeeDee Lamb, that was only the second touchdown in 36 possessions since Dak Prescott got injured. So how is that the same old Cowboys? Oh, the Cowboys scored on 5 of their first 7 possessions. How is that the same old Cowboys when they were struggling to score? Oh, Dallas held the ball 7 minutes longer than the Pittsburgh Steelers. How is that the same old Cowboys? Oh, did we see a quarterback go out there and play against what, arguably, if not the best defense out there, and he still had a good to great game? Oh, but that's the same old Cowboys. Please explain yourself. I don't see how that's the same.
I can very simply,
I don't see it.
I can very simply explain myself. Cowboys, 0 sacks yesterday. Bottom 10 in the league in sacks. Cowboys, no takeaways. Bottom 10 in the league in takeaways. Cowboys, their receivers made big plays. They have the best receiving core in the NFL. The receivers have been primed to make big plays.
They had the best quarterback.
Same old Cowboys. Cowboys, Marcellus, they had an 83-yard punt return. One of those 5 scoring drives you referenced.
You keep mentioning that.
How do you have an 83-yard punt return and don't get the ball into the end zone? Cowboys had a 64-yard kick return. How you have a 64-yard kick return and don't get the ball into the end zone?
Bucky, can I answer
Bucky
this?
came on this set yesterday. Let me see Bucky, please. You can keep Marcellus up.
I want to see all y'all, homie.
Bucky came on this set last week. Bucky, was that poopery? See, poopery, if y'all don't know, it's what you spray in the bathroom after someone goes into the bathroom, takes number 2, because all it does is it covers up the stench. It doesn't remove the stench. It just covers up the stench to hide it because it makes it smell a little bit better. That's all we saw with the Cowboys yesterday. A little bit of poopery. See, it covered up the stench. It didn't remove the stench of the terrible defensive play, of the turnovers on offense, of the special teams. It just made it smell a little bit better.
Bucky,
don't worry, I got this.
Okay, good. Okay, I don't want to hear this.
I brought the poopery because we were talking about Carson Wentz. And oh, by the way, I got a phone call. I heard he was playing in the backyard and threw 4 interceptions yesterday during the bye week. So as he continues to do what he's always done, he will continue to lead the league in turnovers and bring it back. And because you're comparing the Cowboys to the NFC East teams, we saw the Washington football team lose Kyle Allen, who broke his ankle. Alex Smith came in and threw 3 interceptions. We have seen the New York Giants, and we know that Daniel Jones is a turnover waiting to happen. And then, as we've already alluded to, your quarterback, Carson Wentz, the guy who leads the league in turnovers at the quarterback position, we know that the division is coming back to the Cowboys. And as I went down the schedule, there's only one winning team on the schedule left, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. So as we have to just make the number, and we'll say the number is 8. They just have to get to 8-8. 8-8 wins the division. There's 6 wins on this schedule. There's 6 wins right here because they play the Eagles, they play the Giants, they play the Washington football team, they play Cincinnati, they play San Francisco, and then they play Minnesota. There are 8 wins right there.
Let me get this. Let me get this straight, Bucky. Yeah, exactly. You're losing your road dog. No,
I'll drop something.
Talking crazy. Bucky, you telling me a team that currently has 7 losses is only going to lose 1 more game? That is what, but to America. On national television, Bucky Brooks, an NFL analyst, a man who gets paid to analyze.
Hey, Bucky, chill.
I read the schedule to you.
Hey, Bucky, chill.
Oh,
I read the schedule to you. Minnesota, Washington,
we heard the schedule.
Baltimore, Cincinnati, San Francisco.
Is Dallas the team that's playing them, though? That's the problem with the schedule.
Good.
Hey, Bucky, they going to win a division, but it's going to be like more like, I don't know, 5 and 11. I don't know how it's going to go. But I'm going to back you up, Bucky, on this one. This is how they're going to win the division. It's not so much about Cowboy greatness. It's going to be the fact that we might not see the other teams play as well going forward. Let's not forget that Carson Wentz in Dallas, 1-3 as a starter, a losing quarterback when he comes to Dallas. Let's not also forget that the Cowboys have the easiest schedule remaining out of all teams in the NFL. And even if you want to go with Andy Dalton, he's a winner in late season games, December and January, 20-16. So you got a winner at quarterback, even if it's Garrett Gilbert, who was Gatorade Player of the Year at UT or whatever the hell Acho wants me to understand. All I know is he only threw 6 passes in the NFL before yesterday, saw the best defense, went out there for 21-38 and 243. Something to build on. Look at the Cowboys in this situation. It's simple. They're finding their energy on defense. They know that they can now at least put drives together offensively, and special teams showed up. If you show up at that level in the NFC East, all 3 phases, you're going to do something out there, guys. Simple as that.
I don't know about it, Bucky. I got a bet waiting for you if you really think the Cowboys going 8-8. We're going to talk that one offline.
Let me get on that bet, too. Let me get on that bet, too.
Marcel's on the side.
Yeah. Hey, man, stop putting words in my mouth.
Russell Wilson cooked up a lot of turnovers yesterday, and I'm going to tell you why he officially lost the MVP award. Oh, I feel bad for you, Russ. That's next. Speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Russell Wilson came into Sunday as the MVP frontrunner, but he didn't play like it. He had 4 turnovers and a 44-34 loss to my Bills. Russ has 7 turnovers in Seattle's 2 losses this season. Other MVP candidate, Patrick Mahomes, threw 4 touchdown passes with 0 interceptions, and the Chiefs win. Bucky is back for this slam, but Acho, did Russell Wilson lose the MVP on Sunday?
Oh, unfortunately, fellas, Russell Wilson did. And it's really unfortunate for me because if you say anything bad about Russell Wilson, your mention's going to be blown up on social media for 2 days. Bucky, you know how it goes. He lost the MVP race. He went from 1st to 3rd overnight just like that. That's what happens when you're in a close race. That's what happens when things are neck and neck, head to head. You got to keep your foot on the gas. So many people may say, Acho, it's only week 9 or whatever the case may be. You still have several games left. Understand this. Pressure makes diamonds. Pressure also bursts pipes. We've seen the pressure make Russell Wilson put some diamonds out there. Against the Patriots, 3+ touchdowns. Against the Falcons, nearly a perfect game. but we've also seen the pressure burst pipes against the Cardinals. 3 interceptions yesterday. What was it? 2 interceptions, but 4 total turnovers. Russell Wilson is having a lot on his plate. He out there doing his thing. He out there balling. He out there cooking. He's also burning meals. When I look at it very simply. You can't blame the loss the Chiefs have, their current 1 loss, on Patrick Mahomes. Can't do it. Aaron Rodgers has 2 losses. You could blame one of those on him. Russell Wilson has 2 losses. You could blame both of those on him. When you're talking about a tight and narrow race, you have to start to look at everything, find the delineation factors. My last lap, I'm going to leave y'all with a picture because it's worth 1,000 words. It's an image. It's my full screen of the candidates. Y'all look at and digest this. The record's fairly similar, fairly comparable. Passing yards, up, down, fairly similar, comparable. But then you get to touchdowns to interceptions. Russell Wilson has 8 picks, 28 TDs. Rodgers, 2 picks. Mahomes, 1 pick. I look at it like this. This is how I'm going to end. Aaron Rodgers has thrown 8 interceptions in his last 40 games. Russell Wilson has thrown 8 interceptions in his last 8 games. Y'all do the math. Once you do it, it's not going to add up to an MVP for Russell Wilson.
Man, that was nearly a perfect take, except you didn't apologize to me for all the weeks of you arguing me countlessly about this conversation.
I'm sorry, Marcellus Wiley. That's on me. Big Dog didn't know this one.
I warned you, man. I had to go back to my track experience to read Russell Wilson in this race. We've been here before with Russell Wilson, where he starts off hot and he ends lukewarm. But it's not how you start in life, it's how you finish. And Russell Wilson, 2015, 2018, 2019, already warned us, and I tried to warn my man Acho. Russell Wilson was going to put up some games that made you say, ew. If you guys can't see it in me right now because of the abundance of muscle and fat that I have right now, I used to be a track star. Yes, I did. Bucky was a track star even later in his life than I was. But the point of it is, I used to study the sport as well. And I did know that Ben Johnson was always going to beat Carl Lewis out them blocks. But I did know you better keep watching that race because Carl Lewis is coming at the end. I did know that Justin Gatlin could get out, too, on Usain Bolt. But I did know keep watching that race because Usain Bolt was coming. I did know that Russell Wilson could get out the blocks. But I did know that somebody, I don't even care who, I just said the field was going to be able to catch up in this race. Russell Wilson, what is going on? You talk about him having the 3+ turnover games. Only 2 MVPs since 2000 had that. Peyton Manning in 2013 and Kurt Warner in 2001. So here's the thing, Russell Wilson. You got to put yourself in the winning conversation even if you have your struggles. Because when you talk about having those multiple turnover games, and we're now talking about 2 losses with 7 turnovers. Peyton Manning, Cam Newton did that, but Peyton Manning was 2-1, even in those games. Cam Newton, 3-0. So if you're going to go out there and have bad performances, you got to put the makeup on it and at least win the ball game. Russell Wilson is doing himself a double disservice. Not only is he putting up bad performances like we've seen in years past, mid-season, later part of the season, but also they're not winning these games.
Yeah, they're not winning those games. And because the let Russ cook movement is bad for the Seattle Seahawks' health. And I know everyone is going to talk about the defense and how bad the defense is. But what happens when Seattle puts the ball in Russell Wilson's hands and asks him to do everything? He actually hurts them because, 1, he turns the ball over at a higher rate when he's throwing the ball over 30 times a game. That's just what he does. 2, their defense isn't good enough. So as they go up and down the field offensively and it looks great, you're putting a bad defense out on the field, and so you're giving up points, which then only compounds what Russ has to do when he has to try so hard. Russ is in line to be the most, I would say, maybe the offensive player of the year, but he can't be the MVP because they're not going to win enough for him to get the hardware. He'll put up great numbers, 5,000 yards and all of that, but they won't win enough games to put him in the conversation with Pat Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers.
Bucky, I'm mad at you, Bucky. Let me tell you why I'm mad at you. Marcellus, y'all talk about track. I was a thrower, I threw discus and whatnot.
What do you mean thrower?
I was a thrower,
you know. You're a little fat boy.
First
you couldn't run?
I was always,
I
couldn't run.
Yeah, them fat ankles.
His hips was too tight. But let me tell you why I'm mad at you, Bucky. Because on every team, everybody had that one dude that was a sandbagger. Right? They take a couple of the first 8 runs off, and then them last 2 runs out of that set of 10, they turn it on. Bucky, you've been sandbagging your takes. You've taken your first 8 weeks on this show to come here and give me the best take you've ever given me, Bucky. Because that take you just explained was phenomenal. And yes, that was a backhanded compliment.
Yes,
I can't pay him too much at once. But Bucky came out and he hit the nail on the head. The let Russ cook movement is bad for the Seahawks' health. Fans, when y'all are watching the game, sometimes y'all just look at the stat lines. Oh, well, Russell Wilson is thrown for 28 touchdowns. How can it be his fault? Because a game of football is interwoven. Offense helps defense. Defense helps special teams. Special teams helps them all. When you're throwing the ball at a high clip, you're on and off the field really fast, which means that defense is back on the field. If that defense is not good, hide them. The only way you can hide them is by keeping them on the bench. Hide them. Russell Wilson is out here doing his thing, but he's doing too much. The Packers with Aaron Rodgers, they're running backs. They rank 7th on the season in rushing. The Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, they're running backs. They rank 13th on the season in rushing. But the Seahawks, their running backs, bottom 15 in the league in rushing. I say all that to say, Russell Wilson, he got all that weight on his back. But just like when you step under a squat rack with too much weight on your back, sooner or later you start looking around and yell, "Spot!" because that weight gonna make you collapse.
Yeah, man. Look, you just can't carry the weight of 21 other starters in terms of all that pressure that was on Russell Wilson because of the let Russ cook movement. And we knew that the defense was going to let them down sooner or later, and they give up 44 points, the most ever for a Pete Carroll Seattle Seahawks team. So now you see Russell Wilson, first time going to Buffalo. Well, welcome to Buffalo, because Buffalo put a spanking on him, and they put a spanking on him being one-dimensional. Y'all act like Josh Allen had balance. Josh Allen just went out there and said, you can put it all on me and I'll beat you guys, but their rushing attack wasn't even there. Pete Carroll had to scratch his head and said, we had a game plan to stop the run, but they didn't even try to run, really. They went out there with Josh Allen and said, we will beat you guys. Here's a real problem with Russell Wilson in terms of the MVP conversation. And let me not exaggerate this, because if Russell Wilson doesn't win the MVP, he's going to still be a top 5, top 10 player in terms of what he's done this year. Whoa, my bad. You're not number 1. You're number 3, number 5, whatever that may be. He's not gotten an MVP vote ever, and I don't think he's going to get one this year if this continues, because in the last 2 games, 3+ giveaways for Russell Wilson. 2 of those games. Do you know that's as many 3+ or more turnover games than the last 4 MVPs combined? Let's name them. 2019, Jackson only had 1. Mahomes only had 1. Brady didn't have 1 at all, and Matt Ryan had 0. So Russell Wilson, I just don't see how I could put an argument together if you continue this trend, or maybe it's already in concrete. There's no way that Russell Wilson can win.
Yeah, I just don't think he can win. It would have to be a miraculous turnaround for the Seattle Seahawks. With the way their defense is playing, the lack of a running game, the more that you put on Russell, the more it's going to be detrimental to their ability to win games. I think he is maybe a front runner for Offensive Player of the Year, but in terms of being the MVP, recognizing him for being valuable to the team that wins the most, there's no way that he can be that, because this style of play does not work for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, man. Buck, you with us. You part of the crew. You know that Acho first weekend here, you know, he came out the gate, Wiley, I got all these words, triple entendres. Every word was rhyming and stuff. He's a bishop's son. But look at us now. I'm just smoking this dude. This is nothing. It's like Russell Wilson. Get back out the way, Acho. Get out the way. Fast start.
You ruined this whole segment with that nonsense.
The Bears have lost 3 straight with Nick Foles at quarterback. We'll tell you if it's time to go back to Mitchell Trubisky next. Another Acho turnaround. Speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. The Bears lost to the Titans on Sunday and have now dropped 3 straight. My guy Nick Foles, he's struggling. 2-4 since taking over as the starter, and the offense is scoring nearly a touchdown less per game. Well, Mitch Trubisky, the former starting quarterback, he's currently week to week with a shoulder injury, but he was 3-0 before being replaced by Foles. So, Marcellus, now look, be delicate.
Be delicate, Rock. It's your boy.
Line, because Nick Foles is my boy.
He's an angel.
My former roommate.
He's an angel.
He can do no wrong.
The devil used to be an angel too, but I'm just.
But watch your mouth when you answer the question.
I'm getting my job done.
Should the struggling Bears bench Nick Foles and go back to Mitch?
Yes, they should, and you know it too. I can feel it from you. You're like my brother, man. I can feel you now. I ain't got to hear you. The unspoken language is being communicated, of course. And if I'm Mr. Trubisky, I got the middle finger to the sky. I'm like, y'all gonna fight for my love again because who in the hell are y'all to bench me in the first place? This conversation should never have been a conversation. Nick Foles is nitrous. You know, if them Fast and Furious cars, Vin Diesel and all that, when he knows he's in a tight race or he's losing, that's when you hit Nick Foles. In case of emergency, break glass. There was no emergency in Chicago. What the hell are y'all doing hitting the nitrous button and bringing out Nick Foles? Last time I checked this year, your starter, Mr. Trubisky, had not lost a game. He was going to lose that game in Atlanta, but he had not lost a game. And since that point, oh my God, a 5-1 team now finds themselves in this position, 5-4, not knowing if they're going to make the playoffs or not. Nick Foles is someone that you have to properly apply to your team, not only in terms of performance, but in terms of the psychological effect. Guys know who Nick Foles is. He's going to come in with some juice. I don't know how long it's going to last, but he's coming in with some firepower and juice. Unfortunately, in this situation, by the numbers, doesn't look good for him. They got to go back to Mitch. He's the only winner they got.
Marcellus, I'm so torn. I'm torn on this take. Nick Foles, he took me in when I was homeless, had nowhere to go, put me on his couch. Should have put me in the guest bedroom.
I'm about to say,
put me on his couch. Somebody else was in the guest bedroom, a tight end at the time.
Was it a halfway house?
We was in Philly, okay? That's before Nick was a starter. He was backing up Mike Vick. Ain't had that money back then.
Some addicts.
Anyway, let me get back to my point. Bro. The fact of the matter is the struggling Bears, they should go back to Mr. Trubisky.
Yes.
And they should because they never should have left Mitch.
Let's talk.
Matt Nagy, the head coach, you made your bed. It's time for you to lay in it. Don't bench Mitch Trubisky, who's 2-0. All he did was have, 2 to 4 struggling quarters, depending on how you looked at it. He got pulled after 2 quarters in the Falcons game, a game in which they probably were going to lose.
That was it.
But he didn't deserve to be benched. Here's my problem, Sal.
Okay.
Matt Nagy never wanted to like Mitch Trubisky. I'm going to put y'all on game. I told y'all I study sports psychology. There's something called the Pygmalion effect. Simply put, self-fulfilling prophecy. If I believe that Marcellus isn't intelligent, then I'm going to act like he's not intelligent. Marcellus is going to say something unintelligent. It's going to reaffirm my initial thought that he was never intelligent. Why am I saying that?
Say it.
Matt Nagy, head coach, he thought Mitch Trubisky was sorry. Bomb. So he put Mitch Trubisky in positions to not excel.
Preach.
Mitch Trubisky goes out there against the Falcons, throws an interception. I knew it. I knew Mitch Trubisky's sorry. Let's go to Nick Foles. The problem is Matt Nagy only sees the bad in Mitch Trubisky and only sees the good in Nick. Nick Foles is that incredible relief quarterback. Incredible. Nick Foles, when he is at his top tier, I think he is better than most other quarterbacks at that top tier. It's a convoluted statement, but I stand behind it, always have, always will. Nick Foles, to me, greatest quarterback for the Eagles in their history, because he brought him a Super Bowl. I ride in it. Yeah, I said it.
And what history?
I said it.
What's that word before history?
In they.
In they?
T-H-E-Y. In they. In the Eagle. I said it, and I ride for my guy, Nick Foles. I ride for Nick, okay? But I also ride for common sense. I ride for common sense. And common sense says, Mitch Trubisky, you got to go back to him.
Oh, really? Does common sense also give you the stats on Nick Foles, which lets you know that, what was Matt Nagy even thinking? Among 35 starters, amongst all 35 of those starters, you know where Nick Foles ranks in win percentage? 33rd. Oh, is that good? I don't think so. What about touchdown-interception ratio? 30th. Yuck. What about Trubisky? I wonder if he ranks any worse, because it's hard to. Oh, 11th in win percentage. Oh, that's good. And higher in passer rating and touchdown-to-interception ratio. So if you really want to look at the body of work, why would you even think that Nick Foles could be the guy for you versus Mitch Trubisky, who has 23 touchdowns, 13 interceptions since the start of last year? That's not great, but guess where it is? Somewhere between Jared Goff and Kyler Murray. And you're going to put Nick Foles in there hoping you get some Super Bowl antics again. It's not the same. I just look at this situation simply as this. When I look at two guys, and if I don't have a clear understanding which one's better, I just look at their resumes. I just look at their body of work. And when I look at Mr. Trubisky, I see a guy that has averaged 24 points and 368 total yards a game this year with this offense. And I look at you, Nick Foles, 17 points and only 276 yards. Do we switch out everyone else, or did we just switch out the quarterbacks? Just the quarterbacks. So why are we regressing as a system with Nick Foles.
Sel, can we take a deep dive like we do on this show, which others aren't going to do for you? Let's talk about why Matt Nagy probably won't make the decision. Marcellus, in college, one of my best friends, he was dating this chick. She was a close friend of mine. He broke up with her. Starts dating another girl who was actually friends of the girl he was dating, then breaks up with her and goes back to dating the original girl that he was first dating.
Oh, champion.
So now everybody's wondering, hey, what's wrong with you? Because clearly it's not the females, clearly it's not the ladies, it's you that's the issue.
Is he trying to get married or is he just trying to
They're married now, so all's well that ends well.
Okay, well, they're good.
All's well
it's a good story.
Here's my thing. I don't know if the story is going to end the same for the Bears. Matt Nagy, the world had concluded Mitch Trubisky just can't play. That's what the world concluded. Even though studies and stats, and if you really watch the tape, it kind of showed otherwise. He was a middle-tier quarterback, but we already said because of how high he was drafted ahead of Mahomes, drafted ahead of Deshaun Watson, Mitch just can't play.
Yeah.
So then you go back to Nick Foles, and now we're all like, oh, Nick Foles is terrible. But if Matt Nagy, Marcellus, goes back to Mitch, he's no longer absolved of blame. Because now we're going to look like, wait a second, you got rid of him, you got rid of him. Maybe it's you. And I think Matt Nagy understands that, along with general manager Ryan Pace. If GM Ryan Pace, who drafted Mitch ahead of Mahomes, ahead of Deshaun, if they go back out to Mitch, now they look bad. And in the game of football, it's honestly, you can be honest, and I'll be honest with this, it's also about who's the best scapegoat.
Well,
who can fall on the sword so I don't have to?
Yeah, it's always that. And it's funny, sports are supposed to be the meritocracy, the only one left in this world, in this society. Unfortunately, even in sports, you can see situations like this where it's not just merit-based. If I'm Matt Nagy, I have to eat crow. If I'm Matt Nagy, I have to reverse course. You know why? Be in that locker room right now. You are losing guys by the second by standing pat and saying, no, we're going to ride Nick Foles till the wheels fall off. People are like, yo, the wheels already fell off. If not, this car wobbly as hell. What you doing? You have to reverse course. It's okay, coach. Humanize yourself. You're like us. We make mistakes every single time we perform. It's okay if you made a mistake. You don't even have to address it like it's a mistake. You can say, we tried something. It didn't work. But we still have a season to salvage. Let's do it. You know why? If I had to argue for Nick Foles in some capacity, I would look at the last 3 weeks' losses, all against winning teams from last year, and 2 of them were playoff teams, versus when you look at them when they were 5-1, none of those teams made the playoffs. So it was an easier schedule in the beginning than it has been of late. The point is, if you're Matt Nagy and you want to keep the troops, the other 51 guys, you got to reverse course. If not, if Nick Foles sinks this ship, he gonna sink Matt Nagy with it, and that's not how you want to go out.
Matt Nagy, what it comes down to is very simple. You made your bed. You better sleep in that thing comfortably.
Lumpy, too. Lumpy bed.
Coming up in our big story, the Patriots, they've lost 4 straight. I'm going to tell you why Cam Newton's job is on the line against the winless Jets tonight. That's next. Speak for yourself.
You watch it, speak for yourself. Marcel Swally hit that low shot, my side right there. Man,
is that it?
No, I ain't got no size right now. Manuel Otto over here. Pre-birthday.
Y'all, yeah, man.
Yeah, you starting to look it, too. You getting older over there. All right, let's talk about Cam Newton in our big story. Patriots quarterback has been in a big slump. Cam hasn't thrown a touchdown pass since September, and he has 6 turnovers in the last 3 games. Patriots will try to snap their 4-game losing streak tonight against the winless Jets. Jets. Always have to do that. Despite New England's struggles on offense, Cam said recently, quote, we're extremely close. Bucky is back with us, but Acho, is Cam's job on the line tonight against the Jets?
Cam's job is on the line, and dare I say it, hot take, Cam's career is on the line, fellas. Let me break this down for y'all and cool off this take that out the gate y'all think is going to be hot.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, he's done a lot of good things, in my opinion, in the NFL, but what do we remember Sam Darnold most for? Seeing ghosts, Monday Night Football.
Seriously.
Mark Sanchez, what is he? First quarterback history of the NFL, 2 straight AFC championship games he led his team to. But what do we remember Mark Sanchez most for? The butt fumble on primetime television. Myles Garrett in contention for being the defensive player of the year. So many sacks over his first few years in the NFL. But what do we remember Myles Garrett most for?
Them sacks.
A fight on primetime television swinging the helmet. Again, you're remembered most for what happens on primetime television. All three of the men sitting here can attest to this. You play on Sundays. You don't get to watch all the games on Sundays. If you get out with your Sunday game at 1 p.m., depending on what coast you are, you might kick on the TV for the Sunday night game. But what you do watch, you watch the Monday night football game. Players and coaches. Why do I say this? Yeah, so many people have heard, Cam Newton, 2 touchdowns, 7 picks. Man, I wonder if it's coaching. So many people have heard, man, Cam got benched, 3 interceptions in 3 quarters against the Niners. Yeah, I don't know if that really happened. Man, Cam lost to Drew Lock and the Broncos.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know if that really. But when you see something, you feel something. And that's in life and in football. It's one thing to read about bad news. We can all attest to this over the last few months. It's another thing to see bad news with your own eyes. If Cam Newton, Marcellus, and Bucky Brooks, if he goes out there on prime time television and lays an egg in front of all the coaches, all the general managers, all the rest of the players in the NFL, not only is his time on the line for the Patriots, you got to start to wonder if his career is on the line because it is on life support.
Man, that was a hot take.
I cooled off a little bit. I blew on a little bit.
A little hot garbage take. Like, what the hell? Hey. Career over, Cam?
On the line.
On the line. No, not on the line. Ooh, don't ever say on the line again to some former athletes. All I'm thinking about is gassers right now. On the line. Everybody got an injury right now. All right, his job is not on the line. How about this? Quietly, if Cam goes out there and struggles, I think that the New England Patriots will whisper internally, yes, that's okay, because Cam Newton, we understand growing pains. And growing pains implies that it hurts to grow. Why am I saying this? Because you got to think about the future. See, Acho and I are different. I am a process guy. He is an immediate in the now guy. I'm a guy that allows the concrete to be poured, write your name in it, and then let it to dry. Not Acho, you got to come instantly ready. He doesn't want the process to play itself out. But Cam Newton, in a compromised offseason, obviously, only signed June 28th, doesn't know this playbook, as he admits, all the way through. Fully. He doesn't know this offense. And Belichick knows that. Josh McDaniels knows that. But they also know going forward that they're going to have the opportunity to franchise Cam or get Cam at a reduced rate because Cam's not playing as well. And they're going to have cap space. Cap space and Cam. Cap space and Cam. Going forward next year, 60+ million, maybe even 80 million, depends on what happens with Stephon Gilmore.
You think Cam getting that?
And Cam Newton's going to get a smaller piece of that the worse he plays. But he's still going to be on this roster and allowed the opportunity to grow. Nothing's on the line for Cam Newton except growth. He wants to go out there and continue to learn this offense. What do you think? He's going to not play next year? You think no team's going to take a chance on him? You think he wants to take the chance of going somewhere else and starting from square one again? No way. That was because of injury, and that was because no one could get their hands on him in a COVID environment. Cam Newton is fine. Cam Newton thinks he's close. He thinks this offense is close. I'm sticking with that and the future of Cam with the Patriots.
Yeah, Marcellus, I hear you. And look, you wax poetic with all of that, but we know it's a performance-based business. And right now, Cam Newton has not performed at a high level, at an acceptable level. Look, if he doesn't turn the ball over, the Patriots are sitting with a much better record. If he holds on to the ball, this is a team that, despite all of their flaws, they're still in the conversation to maybe creep into the postseason. So, on a big stage, and look, I don't give Acho many compliments, but I give him a compliment. Look, that big stage point that he made, that was okay. I dug it. I may steal that primetime point because it came out. Everybody is watching. And if they lose to the lowly New York Jets and Cam Newton puts it on the ground or turns it over, yeah, it's problematic, not only for his tenure in New England, but also going forward. Everyone is paying attention to how he plays. He has not played well. So if he doesn't play well tonight, it is certainly a problem for Cam Newton going forward.
No, dude, he's won, and he's won against good teams, winning teams. Don't do that to Cam Newton. Week 1, Miami Dolphins. Hey, Miami Dolphins. Are they a good team? It seems like it. Have a winning record with some of the Miami Dolphins. What about the near miss, almost win against Seattle? How about the Las Vegas Raiders, the same Raiders that beat the Saints, beat the Chiefs, Beat the Browns. Oh, now Cam doesn't have any good wins. He doesn't have any moments you could build off of. Oh, let's build with Jarrett Stidham. Let's do it. Oh, you know what Jarrett Stidham has done? 4 interceptions in his 27 career pass attempts. We ain't building with him, so let's look at the draft. Oh, we ain't gonna get Trevor Lawrence. Oh, we ain't gonna get Justin Fields. Oh, we ain't gonna get Trey Lance. But hey, Mac Jones is balling. Let's get Mac Jones. Let's go get Kyle Trask. Let's go get Zach Wilson. Hell no, I'm going to keep Cam Newton and keep him in this offense going forward. You guys are tripping. Y'all not looking at this as in perspective of what's at stake.
Bucky, let me know when he's done.
Space coming and an amazing talent in the house, in the building, at quarterback.
Thank you. Okay, let me put my IFB back in.
You want to hear that?
Nah, I don't have to hear that hot garbage. What's wrong with this man, Bucky Brooks?
I'm an optimist.
What's wrong with this man? You're not an optimist. You're a liar.
Optimist prime.
This isn't optimism. Marcellus, let me put this in context for you, sir.
You can't.
Cam Newton has 2 touchdowns and 6 turnovers in his last 3 games. Yeah. He's 0-3, Marcellus. Stop it. I like Cam Newton. I love Cam Newton as much as you love Cam Newton. L-U-H. I love Cam Newton. But we got to look at it, bro.
I'm looking.
Like sometimes 0-3 in his last 3 starts against teams that aren't even great. Marcellus, can I ask you a question? I just want to look at my dog.
Anytime somebody got to ask a question, I don't want to
look at my dog.
Like my begging ass uncles. Hey, let me ask you something, uncle. Let me ask you something, nephew.
Sam, what was Cam Newton's best game this year?
His best game?
Yes, sir.
Seattle, the loss.
Seattle, the loss. Threw for 400 yards. And at the time,
Almost.
me and you both came on the air, threw for 397.
Speak for
me
yourself.
and you both came on, speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. Don't say
and
me and you.
And we said, yo, Cam Newton balling. He threw for 397 yards.
2 games in a row.
He's back.
2 games in a row.
That's the most yardage he's thrown for since his rookie season. He's back.
Yep.
Then we realized
COVID.
We realized that had more to do with the Seahawks than it did to Cam Newton.
Stop. What about the Raiders?
Then we realized, what
about the Raiders game?
The game he threw the ball.
You mean the game they won?
We said, wait a second. The Seahawks secondary is terrible. And Cam Newton's best performance, it isn't even a big contributing factor to Cam as it is this terrible Seahawks defense. Marcellus, I told you, I love Cam Newton, but I love the truth. I love to tell the truth. I'm a stand-up guy, Marcellus.
Dude, all I know is they got off track when? It wasn't by coincidence. It was by the correlation, by the cause of COVID. It wrecked this team. It wrecked Cam Newton. Look, Acho, your birthday's tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
If you come in here after your birthday a mess, which I anticipate, and not doing your best, I anticipate, guess what? It's all good. We playing baseball here. We got more at-bats. We have more games going forward. You look at Cam Newton and you're so judgmental. You know that? Tom Brady in his last start is 0-1. Oh, my God, the sky is falling. You've done that already all the time. He doesn't even know what down it is. Oh, my God, Tom Brady. Look, when you're Bill Belichick, you're not Adam Gase. You're not Rex Ryan. So don't give me no butt fumbles and don't give me no I see ghosts. They don't have the same structure, same organization, or the same GOAT head coach. Cam Newton is being looked at properly through a genius lens that has a long-term vision. And Cam Newton is going to be a part of that long-term vision.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that long-term vision and all of that. I'll say this. He has to perform at a high level to continue to be the QB1 for the Patriots this season. I just think that's a matter of fact. We saw Bill Belichick sit down Malcolm Butler in a Super Bowl. So we understand. Look, man, every week you're graded and evaluated. And even though Cam has had to suffer through some of the after effects of COVID, I still think at some point, if they keep putting these losses up with him at quarterback not performing well, they're going to put somebody else in. But I will say this. I won't blame all of the Patriots' woes on him because I believe there's someone else in that building who has not done his job. And that is Bill Belichick. Not Bill Belichick, the head coach, but Bill Belichick, the personnel picker, the general manager. This team hasn't picked a Pro Bowl player since 2013. So when he looks around and sees all the garbage around Cam Newton, it's his fault. He may point to Cam Newton and put him to blame, but he also has to know he is also responsible for this garbage that we've seen from the New England Patriots this season.
Marcellus, you have to understand, sir, even geniuses can make mistakes.
Of course.
Great philosophers once thought that the earth was flat. They now understand that it is no longer. Great philosophers didn't understand at first where the center of the universe and where it did, in fact, lie. Marcellus, Bill Belichick, he can make a mistake on Cam Newton.
Down there.
He can make a mistake on Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton still has some ball left in him. But if you go out there, and you lose to the winless Jets, A Jets team that looks worse than the winless Lions team, which is the worst team of the last 2 decades. If you go out there and you lose to the winless Jets, so there's no defending that. Sometimes you just got to go in there as a defense attorney and be like, you know what? My client guilty, Your Honor.
Damn.
My client guilty. He did
Give my money back.
Whatever they said he did that.
I don't know that dude. Oh, you better get out of here with that take. Let me tell you something. And this is something that all our viewers can understand living in the real world, not just our protected athlete bubble that we've experienced, but even in our world. Think about it. That Cam Newton and him playing his best sometimes may go against the best wishes of that same organization. I've been there before. Just imagine Cam Newton in this situation. They want you to bubble. They want you to blow up just on their schedule, not yours. Think about it. In a contract year, organizations want you to do enough for them to win, but not so much you become so expensive they can't build around you going forward. I was in this situation. My contract year, I had a back surgery. They let Bruce Smith go, and then they gave my teammate, who was playing better than me, Pat Williams, an extension. Me and him had a battle of words. I was like, Pat, don't do that. You playing it to their hands. Instead, they're looking at me like, go play, Wiley, go play hard. Play well. Not that well, because we don't want you to play out of our contract and cap situation. Think about it. When Cam Newton played after that Seattle game, you know what the headlines were? Cam Newton going to be up for an extension, $90 million plus. Now, what the headline saying? Well, is he going to be around next year? And I really think in my heart of hearts that that's what Bill Belichick wants. This team wasn't going to win a Super Bowl this year, so why should Cam Newton bubble to a place where then we're going to find out he has to leave because we can't afford him or we don't want to spend that amount of money? Cam Newton's going to find himself comfortable between playing good enough, improving, but not so expensive that Belichick wants him going. Don't forget, in the loss to Buffalo, we saw the offense play better than they played in many facets. First time that they had back-to-back touchdown drives since beginning of this year. How about the fact that Cam Newton had his highest grade, highest QBR in that same Seattle game? How the game end? Like this segment is. It's about to go to an end. It was a loss. It was a wrap. Coming up, Russell Wilson had 4 turnovers. Shut up, Acho. And the Seahawks defense gave up 44 points yesterday. I tell you if it should be panic time in Seattle. Next, speak for yourself, Acho. Speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. I'm whooping Marcellus Wiley today, so glad y'all are joining us. The Seahawks had big problems on both sides of the ball in Buffalo. Russell Wilson had 4 turnovers, and the defense gave up, 44 points. That's the most points the Seahawks have allowed since Pete Carroll arrived a decade ago. And Carroll talked about his team's lack of defense after the loss. Take a listen.
It's just such an out-of-character game across the board that I don't even recognize this. These guys didn't even try to run the football today. You know, we didn't expect that to happen. We didn't think they would just totally abandon the running game, and we had a real nice plan if they were going to run it. We have to be able to adapt better.
Had a real nice plan if they're going to run it. Too bad they didn't have to. Marcellus, let me know. Let us know. Is it panic time for the Seahawks?
Yes, it's panic time if you're a Seahawks fan. It's panic time if you're a player, it sounds like. What is Coach saying? Hey, we had a good plan if they would have did what we thought they were going to do. What happened to adjustments in this game? Is that something of yesteryear? I don't know about that. Look, the check engine light was on with this team.
It's a good take.
Oh,
it's a good take.
Year long.
This is a good take.
And people just wanted to ignore it, Acho. And we kept saying, look, Russell Wilson can't carry this entire team. He could go out there and lead them offensively to a lot of points, but still not all of this on one guy's shoulder. But Russell Wilson, like many who try to do too much, like many who are put in this same position that they're asked to do too much, find themselves on the short end of the stick. So I have a Wileyism for moments like this. It's something that my wife and I continue to work on, and hopefully we'll evolve to greater ground. My Wileyism is this. You can't lift the whole weight room. Now, what does that mean? You can't do everything in life, damn it. If you get into that weight room, I don't care how much weight you think you can lift, you can't lift the whole weight room. Russell Wilson, week after week, tries to go in there and lift the whole weight room. One dumbbell at a time, dummy. You can't lift it all, and it's crazy. They put so much on him. Looked at the defense, allowing the most points every week. Whatever. We got Russell Wilson. We'll outscore teams. Sooner or later, it comes to a head. ahead. We saw it happen again in Buffalo.
Big bro, I love that take. Let me add to it if I may.
Shaq.
It is panic time for the Seahawks because the Seahawks came into the season with 2 main goals. Why do we know that? Because they yelled them on a megaphone. Let Russ cook. We want to win the Super Bowl. That's what they kept telling us all season. Russ wants an MVP. We want a Super Bowl. After that game, it looks like you're going to lose out on both. Russell Wilson, he's struggling right now, and the whole team is struggling along with it. First, let's start with Russell Wilson. Let's talk about how the MVP is slipping away out the grips of his hands. Full screen, please. First 5 games, 5-0. 19 passing touchdowns, 3 picks, no fumbles lost. Last 3 games, 1-2. 9 passing touchdowns, 5 picks, 2 fumbles lost, 7 turnovers in his last 3 games. Not good. So Russell Wilson as an individual, big bro, he's starting to lose out on his individual goals. And he said he don't just want to vote. He want to win the whole thing. But now I think about the Seahawks as a collective. Sometimes winning close games is cute. Right? Oh, my gosh, they barely won again. Look at the Seahawks. They barely won. Sometimes you just want to blow some boys out. The Seahawks have not dominated a game all season after week 1. Patriots just skate by 35-30. Cowboys just skate by. Dolphins just skate by 1-possession game. Vikings, it takes you the last 47 or so seconds, you skate on by. Cardinals, well, you actually lost to them. 49ers, maligned 49ers, you only beat by 10. And the Bills, well, you lost to them. The Seahawks haven't dominated. Now, you might say, Acho, you always preach about most games are decided close. That's true. You do. But I also look at the contenders. And right now, if you want to talk contenders, I say the Steelers. I say the Chiefs. I say the Saints. And there's several other teams. But those
Buccaneers.
You can say the Bucs. Son,
No,
say
I will
the Bucs.
say the Bucs. I said the Bucs.
Let's add that team. All those teams have won at least 1 game, Marcellus, by 14 points.
Yeah,
at least at some point in time, they stepped on the field and they straight dominated. The Saints, they dominated the Bucs. The Bucs, they dominated the Packers. The Chiefs, they dominate just about everybody. The Steelers, they dominate also just about everybody. But the Seahawks haven't dominated anyone. Won a lot, but that playing games close thing, Sal, sooner or later you're going to run out of luck.
Yeah, and they have. And I saw it coming, and everyone thinks I'm a Seattle Seahawks hater. Look, I could be wrong, but I certainly saw this coming. And it was that balancing act between their individual goals of let Russ cook and the team goals of let's try and win a Super Bowl while letting Russ cook. And it seems like you said, we're not going to be able to do either one of those. Let's talk about letting Russ cook and how that's going to turn out for the MVP discussion. Over the last 15 seasons, 7 guys have won the MVP. Manning, Brady, Rodgers, Newton, Ryan, Mahomes, and Jackson. Y'all ready for this? Not one of them had a stretch like this in their MVP winning season, which is 7 giveaways and 2 losses over a 3-game span. So that's a bad precedent if you're Russell Wilson trying to win it as let Russ cook. Let's talk about this team because in their 2 losses, they have scored 34 points on average. And the teams that they played have scored 40 points on average. That's not going to get it done when you become that team that is that one-dimensional. You're just trying to go out there and roll the dice. Let's outscore them, break. That's not going to work. The check engine light was on. I told you this, and I give you a little story about how you always need to respect the check engine light. So this is like 2005. I'm caught up. I'm single, super single, actually. I'm doing the most.
What's the difference?
So, single is like, oh, I'll go to the bar, and hey, nice meeting you. Super single is I'm buying out the bar, and nice to meet all y'all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was that kind of party. Like ballers, what they don't show on the show, that. I was living too much. Had a Rolls Royce, really doing too much. Why I need a Rolls Royce? Anyway, I had one. Here's the thing. Riding it, pushing it for 3 years, and then, boop, check engine light come on. Now, me, Gator boost. Hey, I gotta, you know, I steal from the bottom. I'm like, oh, that, man, I seen the check engine light all the time growing up. It ain't nothing.
Don't mean nothing.
That don't mean nothing. That just means somebody want to get some money out of me at the shop. I ain't giving them my money like that. I'm pushing this Rolls Royce.
Won't push that thing, Phil.
I pushed it. Yeah. Now, there was this one morning, and I was flying to Vegas because I told you I'm super single. I'm doing the most. So I'm going to Vegas, and I knew I should have took either like a ride, a cab, something. I shouldn't. Don't leave a Rolls Royce at the airport. Yeah. But I'm caught up, bro. I'm pushing the Rolls Royce with the check engine light on all the way to the airport. I didn't make it to the airport. I'm riding, I'm not riding. I hit the gas one time. I hit the gas again. afternoon. I'm like on the side of the 118 freeway in a Rolls Royce, suited and booted, 98 chains on, and people looking at me like, AAA anyone? And I'm sitting there. The point of the story is don't ignore the check engine light. It told me for months, dude, chill. And it finally just gave out in the most inopportune time. And all my friends that were supposed to meet me in Vegas didn't believe my story anyway. So hopefully, America, y'all believe me, but it was a true story. Coming up, the NFC is wide open after the Bucs blowout loss last night. We'll tell you who's the team to beat next. Speak for yourself. And that engine cost $80,000. Swear. Oh, welcome back, everyone. Couldn't let another moment go by without wishing my man Emmanuel Acho a happy birthday. Birthday Eve, right?
Birthday Eve. Tomorrow the big 3-0. So you can't call me young no more.
I can't anymore. What you got? What's the plan for tomorrow? You gonna be in here, right?
Birthday and book release. So I'm just celebrating the book too, bro.
Oh, book and birthday. That ain't the book, but that's your birthday. You coming in tomorrow, right? Word on the street is I'm gonna be.
You know, Sal,
what?
There comes a time, and I have a Wileyism for you.
I'm listening.
I have a Wileyism.
Come on, keep talking.
Can you read the
You're not going to be here?
If I get a birthday song, you'll see me.
Are you 15, turning 16? Like, I can't go to work and do that
Can I
as well?
celebrate my birthday and my book? You released a book, didn't you?
Yeah, and I can't
Didn't you
work.
release a book?
I can't
I'm
work.
trying to be a bestseller like you.
Well, you're going to be on Jimmy Kimmel, I hear. True? Facts?
I'll have to tune in.
Oh, my dog. God, I ain't never worked with somebody I was actually jealous of, for real. This is a beautiful moment. Happy birthday Eve to Emmanuel Acho.
My dog.
Let's move on to the Bucs, who look like the beast in the NFC heading into Sunday night until the Saints blew them out. New Orleans is now 6-2, along with the Packers and Seahawks, while the Bucs are now 6-3. Bucky is back, but Acho, birthday man. Who's the favorite to win the NFC?
Man, right now it's tough, but give me the Saints. And I'm so grateful because at the beginning of the season, right before the first kick, I put my tweet out. I said Saints versus Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Man, by week 4, I was like, Acho, you sound like an idiot. But then it feel good again. If you want to be the best, Marcellus. Bucky, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. Everybody said the Buccaneers were the best team in the NFC coming into this game. The Saints not only beat them, they dismantled them. But more than that, let's talk about the Saints and their history. 3 years ago, Minnesota Miracle. 2 years ago, PI call kept them, a lack of PI call kept them out. Last year, it took overtime by the Vikings to knock them out. The Saints have been knocking on the door of an NFC championship, of a Super Bowl. It's time for them to lift up that leg, kick that door down, and make their presence felt. I think the Saints right now are the team to beat in the NFC.
I'm glad you started off by saying it's tough, because if you really look at it, no one is the favorite over the other favorites. It's just like a few teams you can select from. And I think those teams are the Buccaneers, Seahawks, Saints, and the Packers. So of those 4 teams, I'm going to ride with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One reason is because they're not fully formed. Every other team, I think, is closer to their ceiling than the Tampa Bay Bucs. Let's look at the Seattle Seahawks. Ask them about the Buffalo Bills, the Arizona Cardinals. You don't want to, because they're going to go, ugh. What about the Saints? Let's ask them about the Raiders and the Packers. Ooh. What about the Packers? Let's ask them about the Buccaneers and the Vikings. You look at the Buccaneers, there are issues there as well. But the only thing I see with the Buccaneers is they don't know themselves yet. They haven't gelled fully together just yet. The chemistry is not as interwoven as those other teams. So those other teams have continuity. COVID hit everyone, but it didn't hit everyone the same. And if you look at the Tampa Bay Bucs, who weren't allowed an opportunity to merge with this new quarterback in a new system with a new coach, they're kind of learning this on the fly, and they're doing damn well by doing just that. So going forward, I see that team having more room for improvement and a higher upside than the other teams. Go Bucs.
No. I think last night illustrated everything. The New Orleans Saints have whooped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers twice this season. They don't fear them. They barely respect. They had a dance party after the game. I saw Jameis Winston eating dubs. He was eating dubs afterwards. So they feel like they own them. Yeah. And when I look at this team, the way they're constructed better than any other team in the NFC. You look at their offense, they have every weapon that you could want. 2 receivers in Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, tight end and Jared Cook. You have a big-time playmaker out of the backfield in Alvin Kamara. You have the wild card in Taysom Hill. Drew Brees is playing well. You have Sean Payton as one of the best play callers in football. And on defense, they found a secondary rusher to go with Cam Jordan. Trey Hendrickson is balling. So right now, when I look at the New Orleans Saints, I can't imagine that there's another team that should be the favorite because they really don't have any weaknesses like the other teams in the NFC.
Here's the other thing you got to consider, fellas. Bucky, let me piggyback on your point and expound on it. Your last sentence. I can see the Seattle Seahawks, secondary atrocious. Russell Wilson, too much pressure. That's their weakness. Green Bay Packers, defense thus far, been atrocious. In a game where Aaron Rodgers threw 3 touchdowns and no interceptions, the Packers lost to the Vikings because Aaron Rodgers only had 2 possessions in the whole first half because the defense couldn't get off the field. I look at the Buccaneers. No continuity offensively. Can they mesh? Can they gel? Will they mesh before it's too late? But then you look at the Saints. What's the biggest knock on the Saints all season? Air yards? Like a term that we don't even really know how to define.
Right.
Air yards is the biggest knock on the Saints all season. Defensively, stout. Got a lockdown corner in Lattimore, got a veteran safety in Malcolm Jenkins, got an elite pass rusher in Cam Jordan, got an elite savvy quarterback, got an elite head coach, got a great running back, and they do have an X factor as long as they limit that X factor in Taysom Hill and make sure they don't ask him to do more than he's capable of doing. When I look at the Saints, they are the one team in the NFC that doesn't really have a glaring weakness. The other teams definitely got weaknesses. You can see them. The Saints, you kind of got to pull out a microscope just to see if there is a weakness or a blemish there.
Nah, see, the thing about the Saints is they seem already fully formed. Like, I don't know how much better they're going to be. Look, there is a contrast between their last 4 games, and they barely squeaked by 15 points, and then they beat the brakes off the Bucs. That's something. They get up for the Bucs. Whatever you want to say, that's great. But the rest of the season, you will only see, hopefully, the Bucs one more time in the playoffs. So what are you going to do for those other games? Not so sure about your Saints. You can peak too soon in life, y'all.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Go there, Sal. Go there.
I mean, we all made it pro, but how many times did we see somebody in Pop Warner, high school, even college, fully formed, like a man-child, and you were like, there were times where I was like, I wish I had his game. And then now I look back, I was like, he didn't make it because he was a fully formed man-child while I was a late bloomer. So you can get into situations like this. I learned this from my experience running track. I love track and field because it's such a pure sport. It's the first sport, and there's not a lot of conversation about it. Who won? What was your time? Let's go. Next conversation. Well, I ran for the LA Jets. It's a youth track club out here in Los Angeles, and they are world-renowned. Like, everybody knows about them because of Olympians and track greats left and right. But we had a different off-season program than basically every other track program I knew about. And it was interesting. We hated it, but we always reaped the benefits of it. So other programs will build their track runners up by running the exact race that they run. If you run a 400, you start off in January running a 400. Us? Nah. Coach James, Mr. Moore? Nah. We ran mileage. They said, I don't give a damn if you're running 100 or you're running the 800, you're running mileage. And we hated it. But you know what would happen? We would get into the early track meets and sometimes lose. Sometimes somebody would get us because they were running their exact race all off season. We weren't. We were building for what? July, Nationals, August, Internationals, and then we will pass them by. To me, the Tampa Bay Bucs are building for something that's later, not just what happened last night on Sunday.
Let me rap with you there, and
Let's
Bucky,
rap.
you can go there too because I know y'all both competed in track. I did not in college. I think, Bucky, you ran in college?
Absolutely.
Bucky ran in college, Sal.
One year.
The thing about track and field, and even in some of these other sports, you intentionally peak late. You taper off because you know you're trying to peak late.
Yeah, that's
and so when I talk about track and field, when you talk about other sports, you can say, well, I am working towards a build. The Bucs peak, or lack thereof, Sal, it won't be intentional. Now,
Okay.
hopefully
Good
what
point.
you're saying is, in fact, correct, and the Bucs will continue to get better because of the gelling, the continuity, meshing together. But if they do so, it won't be intentional. It will be optimistically coincidental. Whereas in track and field is, no, I am consciously doing everything I am with the goal of peaking. The fear you have to have if you are a Bucs fan is this. What happens if we peak too late? What happens if our best game was week 18? There isn't one. What happens if our best game was in the offseason? That's the issue at hand. Give me the team, Marcellus, that's already fully developed. Give me the team that's already fully grown. Give me the quarterback, the coaching staff. Give me the team with continuity. Because while you are right, you can peak too early. I would rather see and know my peak does, in fact, exist this season.
You know, Acho, you guys both bring up really good points about peaking too soon, because I think it's important when we're comparing the two teams, the Bucs and the Saints. Let's be honest about the quarterback situations. We're talking about two 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks. Both of them have been known to dip off at the end of the season. The difference and the deciding factor between the Saints and the Bucs could come down to coaching. Sean Payton understands Drew Brees. He has tons of experience in years knowing his quarterback. His ability to work around Drew Brees as he falls off in the end of the season could be the difference, because Bruce Arians doesn't know Tom Brady like this. So when Tom Brady begins to struggle, as he's been known to do in December, the difference is Sean Payton has instructions for how to deal with Drew Brees. Bruce Arians does not. That's why I'm penciling in the New Orleans Saints to represent the NFC.
I like that. Man, we just keep going. Let's keep the dominoes falling on this one. What about the Saints in terms of knowing their potential, in terms of them knowing their peak, and how has that worked out for them? What about the last few years? Oh, how about last year? One and done to Kirk Cousins? And you're talking about this team is going to roll out the same team? I don't know if this Saints team is better. They had an impressive win last night, but let's not be prisoners of the moment. Are these Saints any better than last year's Saints? And we saw what happened to them. Let's talk about another 13-3 team 2 years ago. Lost in the conference. What about 11-5? Lost in the divisional round. Like, this team, I don't want to say the window's closing, but I don't think it's opened more. I don't think that there's more opportunity for this team to go and be a better version of itself. I think I already know what the Saints are, and I saw it last year. That was a 13-win team that went out there and let Kirk Cousins come get them at home. So what about the Packers? And you talk about the Packers, that defense, especially their run defense, giving up 4 times already, 120-plus yards to rushers. It's not going to happen. I just see all these other teams being who they are. And the only team that's an unknown, it seems like the Buccaneers. And I would bet on that upside of that unknown versus the versions fully formed of the teams you guys are rooting for. Coming up, Lamar Jackson didn't play like the reigning MVP Sunday again, but they still won. We'll tell you if the Ravens are contenders or pretenders. Next, Speak for Yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Lamar Jackson, he wasn't sharp early yesterday, and the Ravens were down at halftime to the Colts. But Lamar turned it around in the second half, going a perfect 10 for 10 and adding a touchdown run. The Ravens are now 6-2, but that was their first win against a team with a winning record all season. So, Big Bro Sell.
Yes.
We might hurt some feelings this block. It's time to be honest. Are the Ravens contenders or pretenders?
You're going to stop contenders. You didn't have to say that last part. Pretenders. Of course they're contenders because they're winners. 14-win team last year. They were contenders till they lost. And now this year, this is a team that is 6-2. Yeah, they're contenders until you can do and find another way to beat them. Because right now, only the Chiefs, only the Steelers have beaten them. One of those teams haven't even lost yet, and the other one's a one-loss team. We're talking about a team that's second in the NFL in point differential. Acho. You know what that means? Pretty special, and you beat up on teams, and that's what the Ravens have done. I love the fact that they're now approaching this differently. Last year, the Ravens went out there and said, you know what's coming, beat us, oh well. And they found out in the playoffs that you might need another plan B. You know, don't be a one-trick pony. Look at this situation this year. They're doing things and checking boxes that they didn't even think about checking last year. How about the fact that last year, this team, when they found themselves down at half, you know what happened. Well, they would lose that game. How about 0-6 Lamar Jackson when you're talking about trailing at half, including the playoffs? Not anymore, because he won a game like that. So that's checking a different box. How about the fact that, this is interesting, that the Ravens organization teams had lost the last 20 games when trailing in the second half. So it's a bigger issue than just Lamar Jackson. But all that said, when you look at a team that's only lost 2 games and to the teams that they lost to, of course they're contenders until someone else proves otherwise.
Are they contenders for having one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the NFL? Yes. Are they contenders for having one of the best run teams in the NFL? Yes. Are they contenders for having one of the best defenses in the NFL? Yes. But the question at hand is, are they contenders? And everybody knows what we're talking about.
What are we talking about?
For a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And if you're asking me, are they contenders for a Super Bowl? I'd have to say no. And it's not because they're not contenders for being one of the best teams in the AFC, but until you can beat the Chiefs, Marcellus, how can you say that they are contenders? And not if it was a one-off loss, but Lamar Jackson, what is he, 0-3 in his career against the Chiefs?
I mean...
So until I see them beat the Chiefs, not talk about beating the Chiefs, not talk about winning a Super Bowl, not talking about being dominant, not winning individual awards, until I see them beat the team in the AFC, how can you be a Super Bowl contender if you can't even get to the Super Bowl? The other thing I'll say is this. The Chiefs' 3 biggest games of this calendar year, the Steelers, the Chiefs earlier in the year, and last year the Titans.
Okay.
They lost them all. They're 0-3 in those 3 biggest games of this calendar year.
What's your point?
My point is very simple.
What you saying?
When it comes to the big time games, will they get it done?
Man, it's crazy you say that because the same Chiefs team that we're talking about now that sounds unbeatable, even though they have a loss, they sound unbeatable. Remember, let's go back recent time, 2018, when the Chiefs lost to the Patriots in the regular season. Close game, but they lost. People were like, well, if you're really a contender, you got to go through Foxborough. You got to beat the Patriots. Saw them again in the playoffs that year. How did that go? Lost again. Here goes that narrative. Acho lead that train. Choo-choo. You can't beat the Patriots. You can't win it all. What did they do the next year?
The next year.
What did they do the next year?
The next year.
And that's the point. This is the next year.
No.
Yeah.
They lost to the Chiefs already,
Because here's the thing. The Chiefs, if you see them going forward, where is it? Playoffs. Hopefully, conference championship.
Hopefully.
Now, you could, hopefully. Then you could get over the hump. Or, in this situation, it could happen the same thing that happened with the Chiefs. You might not even see them. How about the Patriots got eliminated? Traffic cop, as they call it. Somebody else took them out for you. And then you got to see a different team. Who knows what the Chiefs are going to do going forward? But all I know is if you're going to run with a narrative, the same narrative the Chiefs heard, sometimes it doesn't come true, and you can still realize your goal.
That is fair. The problem with what you were saying is this. If we're talking about if the Ravens, they have to beat the Chiefs next year, I don't know what the Chiefs roster, the team, the organization is going to look like. The 2019 Patriots and the 2018 Patriots, vastly different. So if you're saying, well, the Chiefs lost to the 18 Patriots, went back and beat the 19 Patriots, which literally had a crippled offense looking across the board, I'm not saying that's apples to apples. What I'm saying is this. The Ravens already lost to this year's Chiefs team, lost to this year's Steelers team. Those are 2 teams they're going to have to see in the playoffs. If you've lost to this version of those teams, how can you say that they're contenders when they can't even beat the teams that's really contenders?
Just because I just saw a Chiefs team and they lost to who? The Raiders.
A while ago.
How about not a while ago? I saw the Steelers and they lost to the... Oh, they didn't?
They didn't.
Barely. But is that hope building? Is that hope building? My point is this.
What's your point?
I ain't scared of nobody if I'm the Baltimore Ravens because I'm in that conversation. To me, contender doesn't mean you're the favorite. It means are you in that conversation of contention.
Let me ask you this, though. But you know this, and we'll go track will contend this block.
Are they?
Just because you know they'll be in the race doesn't mean you know they'll win the race.
But you can win one if you're in it. Yeah. You can only win it if you're in it.
Anytime dudes was lining up against Usain Bolt, fastest man ever run, you knew it was going to be close within a tenth or 2/10 of a second. Yeah. But at the end of the day, Marcellus, you would always kick back, whether Usain got out the block slow, whether he got out the block fast.
Coming.
You knew at the end of the day, that Usain was going to win. Let's talk basketball.
But that ain't the Chiefs or the Steelers this year.
Well, let's even stop. Well, what is, we can talk about basketball with the Warriors.
Okay.
You knew on October 28th, whenever opening tip-off was, I can fast forward 7 months. And in 7 months, the Warriors and LeBron James, they both going to be in.
They're going to be in.
For 4 years straight, that's what we knew.
Yeah.
Although I think the Ravens are good.
They're the Golden State Warriors Mark Jackson version converting over. No? Something?
I give you that one.
Okay.
I give you that.
Well, where's Steve Kerr at? Let's get it. Coming up, Uncle Jimmy is starting the week the same way he ended last week. Talking about Antonio Brown. That's next. Wake up, Unc. Speak for yourself. Wake up. Before we go, Uncle Jimmy joins us. Or you have more to say about AB's impact in Tampa. Take it away, Unc. What's up?
Hey, man. I didn't know that Tom Brady be studying the craft. That Kraft macaroni and cheese. Tom Brady played last night like he had that itis. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? He was going to be eating pig skins with hot sauce, drinking Kool-Aid. That's why his ass was running around on the sidelines looking like he needed a blood pressure pill. Tom Brady, what I tell you? Fooling with Antonio Brown will take its toll on your soul. And Tom Brady looked like that before halftime. How the hell you going to go into the game looking like Jake from State Farm, but by the end of the game, you look like Tom Brady? Let me tell you something, man.
Hey, what?
Let me tell you something, man.
What?
Y'all gonna learn. Uncle Jimmy done told y'all. If I tell you that a duck can pull a trap, you better hook him up. If I tell you that he dipped snuff, look under his left wing. Because y'all gonna learn. Hey,
what?
Macho, look here. You don't know this, but in 1 year, you worked side by side with Marcellus Wiley. And this is how you gonna look. Because fooling with Wiley will take his toll on your soul. You keep on fooling with him. Happy birthday, damn it.
Yeah, you are. Why old people always say, hey, huh? 5 Bet Live is next.